Hey everybody, it's Mandy again. I'm here just to do part 2 of my video on straightening naturally curly hair. Now, sometimes I will just straighten it just like this, just completely straight, slightly curled at the ends. But sometimes I actually go straight from my wash and my frizzy blow dry into a curl. So I will totally skip the completely straight part and just go right into like a wave curl. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. I guess you could kind of consider this a beach wave because it's a pretty big wave. What you're going to need for this, again, you're going to need just a little elastic band, just like this, the clippy claw. And I actually use my flat iron for my curl on the bottom. The top part I actually use a barrel because I think the curl is a little nicer, but I think the curl stays a little better with my flat iron. So I've kind of done it both ways. I used to do it all with the flat iron. I used to do it all with the barrel curling iron. I love the look of the barrel, but by the end of the day, my curls were almost completely gone. So I found that if I do like below the ears with my flat iron, the curl stays for days. And then I can just kind of redo the top if I need to, because the top is really where I want the curl to look its nicest. So I am using, I think this is a 1.5 inch. You can kind of see how big it is. It's pretty big. For a beachy wave, you want a pretty big barrel. So yeah, mine doesn't have a spring, so I'm going to kind of show you how I use it, almost like a conical wand. But if you have just a regular spring that's working, that's fine as well. So yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so when I'm curling my hair, I actually use smaller sections than I do when I straighten it, just because I can't have, 2 inches of hair and have the curl look nice. So I actually start kind of at my ears, but I go kind of not so high, but kind of a little lower at my ears. Make sure you're got your curling iron warming up while you do the flat iron part, because they take a little longer to heat up. So I start pretty close to the root, and you just kind of are gonna hold your hair with your left hand if you're right-handed, and just start turning and kind of wrapping your hair as you turn into like one solid turn. And then what you're going to do is just kind of pull that flat iron slowly. Don't squeeze too hard. Just slowly holding that hair, pull it through and even slightly turn it as you're pulling it. You don't want to go too fast. The faster you go, the looser the curl will be. So that's pretty loose. I usually have to do this twice, just especially if I've just straightened my hair. It has a harder time wanting to curl. So I'll go a little slower, especially at the root. It's easy to get most of the curl at your ends, but you want to try and get some curl closer to your roots as well. Then I actually usually will not get that end of my hair. I kind of leave that end of my hair a little loose, just so it looks more like a messy curl. You can curl it if you want it to look really perfect, ringlety. You can go ahead and kind of turn that into your flat iron. But I think if you leave it kind of scraggly like that, it looks a little more kind of like a messy bedhead, beach head kind of look. So, which I like. So yeah, so there's that. And then I'm going to do this back piece. This is pretty wide, but because it's the bottom of my hair, I don't think it matters that much. So again, I kind of hold it. Hold it and slowly move it, especially as I'm at my roots. You really want to make sure you hold it there, especially if your hair doesn't curl very well, which mine does not. So if your hair curls really easily, don't hold it for too long. You don't want to damage your hair more than you need to. So again, there's that kind of look. Now you're probably going to find that your curls, they won't all look exactly the same, but it all kind of comes together in the end. So don't worry if one curl's a little tighter or one curl's a little bit more of a solid ringlet and one's a little more of a wave. So this side I'm actually going back, like the other way, away from my face instead of towards my face, because that's natural on this side of my head. It's just a little, especially with the flat iron. I think with curling iron it doesn't really matter, but the flat iron curl is a little awkward. So just do what feels the most natural for you, and it's going to take a little bit of practice. Okay, so I'm just going to do this whole piece. And if you found that your ends, you know, you can go ahead and curl your ends into the flat iron, and if you get done and you don't like that look, you can go back and actually flat iron the last inch of your hair straight, just to, if you decide you don't like it so curly. Okay, that one's pretty loose. Let me do that one again. Pretty thick section. Oh, this video is going to be long. I'm sorry. Maybe the next section I'll just kind of speed through, because I basically just do the same thing. It does take a little longer to do this to your hair, but especially using the flat iron, you know, unless I, you know, go exercise or just get really, really sweaty or something, or have a, usually it stays curly the next day, so I don't have to do my whole head again. Okay, so let me just show you that really quick. It's a pretty loose curl. Again, I think the bottom ones can be pretty loose because they're, I kind of like the bottom of my hair to be like a little longer and looser than the top. Just don't like it to end up being too curly. But at the same time, you also want it to be curly enough that it's going to stay and not be gone in an hour. Okay, so let's take section number 2. Now this one, so here's my section before, it's just right about there above my ear. So I'm going to take about an inch or 2 inches of hair, so kind of just below the temples, and I'm going to do the top in 2 sections. So 4 sections for me. If you have finer hair, again, you can do 3 or even 2 if you have really fine hair. That would be fine, but I have a lot of hair. Okay, so you can see that's a lot thinner. It's only about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. But that's a good thing. I think the curl will hold a little better. Okay, so again, I'm going to curl towards my face on this one. If you really are particular and you really want that look of the waves kind of going backwards, you would obviously try and curl away from your face, but I'm lazy, I guess. So again, just, you don't want to clamp down on that flat iron too hard. You want to be able to move smoothly through your hair, otherwise you're going to get kinks. So just barely get so that hair is kind of in there. You can see that's a nice wave right there. That's perfect. You really want to hold your hair really loosely, and for the 5th time, keep your flat iron pretty loose. I think that's a really important thing, though. I think it makes a big difference in your curls being smooth instead of kinky, because your flat iron will kink your hair if you're pinching too tight and kind of jerking through your as you're curling it. If it's too jerky, it'll kink. So, okay, let me just show you real quick. So far, there's the wave so far. So, okay, so now we're going to move on to the barrel. Again, you want to use about a 1 1/4 or 1.5 inch barrel. You could use maybe a 1 inch. I wouldn't go anything under a 1 inch. I think that's too small. Okay, so I'm going to, again, separate this into 2 different sections. So keep your top section, you can see it's like mohawk size, you know, pretty, couple inches wide. And then just wrap that up again in a bun. You're just going to keep your sections pretty small. Now these we are going to curl away from our face. So you want to make sure you start the barrel pretty close to your scalp, because it's going to give you some body. So all I really do, because mine doesn't have a spring in it, I always start my curl at the base of my scalp and not at the end. So I basically just clamp it right there. I have to hold my clamp, and then I just wrap it around. Now you could curl it with the barrel too, just starting at the base instead of the end of your hair, but I like to do it this way. And I hold it for about 10 seconds. Okay. And I kind of try and like hold that pretty loosely and let it dry a little bit or cool off, because if you let your hair cool, like if you don't drop it while it's still hot, it's gonna kind of set that curl. So you can even, if it's like a special occasion, I'll sometimes pin my hair, just take a bobby pin and pin it like out of the barrel, kind of like against my head like that, just so it completely cools, and then my curls last quite a bit longer. So right now I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, just make sure your sections aren't too big with the curling iron, because the curl will not hold very well. Okay, so again, I just curl it right up as close to your roots as you can stand, and then start wrapping. And again, I kind of keep a little tail out. I don't know if I did on that first one, but I usually will try and keep just a little tail. Obviously, I don't want to burn my finger either, so. And be warned, these curling irons I get burned quite often from these, so be warned. My earlobes, my forehead, my fingertips. Okay. When we're all done, we'll go through and kind of spray it to set it, but right now I'm just gonna leave those curls like that. Okay, finish that side. Now I'm gonna start curling again away from my face, so kind of in the opposite direction. Okay, so I've got my back section here. It's gonna be a little trickier to keep it separated from what you've already curled, but it's not a big deal. So I curl all the way across, like that solid piece. It's pretty thin, but I go all the way across. So later I can kind of part my hair anywhere. I don't worry about the part right now. So again, I'm going to curl these back. So I turn it back. These ones especially, I want to get right up by my scalp, because I want that body that the barrel gives me on the top of my head. That's probably one of the reasons I like the barrel the most, is because it gives me a lot of body at the root of my hair. It is a little hot though, so. Okay, pull that out. Again, don't just pull those curls down too fast. You want to I actually kind of scrunch them a little bit, just to speed the cooling process. Okay, so there's that back section. Again, just leave it kind of back behind as we work on the front, and those will kind of come forward. So there's our front section. It's pretty small. Now this, generally if you have bangs or kind of layers, these will kind of be your bang area. So we're going to do these a little bit differently. Now this first one's pretty far back, so I am going to still curl that one backwards. But then my front ones I'm going to curl forward, and I'll kind of do like a side swept kind of thing. If you part your hair in the middle, you could just do, I would probably part it and then go ahead and do each side kind of back away from your face. So you have that really definite like back swept kind of look. But you can do it. I mean, you can play around and see what works best for you and what suits you the best in your style. I always wish I could part my hair in the middle. I've tried it so many times and it just is hideous on me. I don't know what it is, but I am a side part girl all the way. Okay, so you can see these two pieces. Now this front piece is kind of my layers, bangs from breakage, kind of. So those I'm actually going to curl forward. These ones you can see are still kind of my longer layers. I'm going to curl these back. Now if you have more bangs, you probably want to curl all of these kind of like forward and sideways, sort of, to do kind of a side sweep, if you're going for that. So these curls, usually if like the second day after I've done them, like tomorrow when I wake up, they probably will be gone. And I'll either recurl them with the barrel, or sometimes I'll just do like a huge, like big pieces of them in my flat iron if I'm in a big hurry. Flat iron is definitely faster if you get the hang of the movement down, but it's harder to get the hang of that movement. Okay, so you can see those are nice and curled and back. And now my last piece. Hooray! This is probably the boringest video in the history of the world. Like watching paint dry. Hopefully I can cut a lot of this out. Okay, so these I curl kind of forward, and I don't hold them very long. I kind of just want, like, see that big swoop? I kind of want that swoop. So, all right, so let's pull the rest out and kind of see how it all looks together. Now, like I said before, it's pretty curly right now. A lot of this is going to fall out over the next hour or so. But I actually, like I said, I do actually like that look. I think it looks a little less perfect. I like a less perfect looking curl. But anyway, so I'll just basically take my fingers and kind of run it through my hair a little bit. This is the finished look. Now, a lot of this curl is going to fall out even a little bit more than this over the next couple hours. To kind of prevent that, you do want to give it a pretty good a good spray. Don't go crazy with the hairspray, but just give it a touch of hairspray in it to keep that curl holding as long as possible. Okay, and then you can go ahead and style it however, if you want to style it further, you can. I'm going to go ahead, I mentioned this before and I forgot to say what I did with it in the straightening one. When I'm done straightening my hair or curling my hair, I always put this in my hair. I put this in my hair all the time. It's like water for my hair. My hair loves it. Especially with all the heat on my hair. Whoa. And even like the summer heat. And I live in Utah. I used to live in Virginia. Oh, my hair is thirsty, dry. So I just take about a quarter amount in my long hair, again, less if your hair's shorter, and rub this through. Start at the ends, and then move towards the top. And this kind of smooths out, like I kind of use this as a styling product for my curls as well. I probably should have done this before I sprayed it, but it really doesn't matter that much. So it just kind of gives them a little shine and shapes them a little bit. You can go ahead and just kind of finger style your hair and then spray it when you're done. However, if you're a back comber, I'm not really, because I have so much hair, but if you're a back comber, you could back comb and give yourself some body. But yeah, so this is basically it. Yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope that was helpful. I hope I explained everything well. But yeah, so go ahead and give it a try and good luck. Thanks. Check back soon.